is back. So today we're going to be looking at the article that we read on Monday, which was about indoor plants and different ways that you can use them to improve your home or to decorate your home mostly. I think most of them were kind of about decoration, to be honest. So to get started, what do you remember from the article? I know Constantine and Dom, I know that you were here when we read it, so hopefully you remember something. Yusuf, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it at all. But what do you all remember from the article? Yusuf, go ahead.
Okay, I will try my best. I wasn't here, but I just read about the topic probably half an hour ago, and I will try to summarize what I have read. So the topic was talking about the tips that can help people to make, or let's say, to decorate their homes and houses with the plants, and some tips that can help their house to look, to look beautiful and all well decorated. So the topic was talking about plants, and I'm sorry, I will try to use the words that I have read in order to remember it in my daily life. Okay, so yeah, so the tips that they give, the first one is to put in consideration the colors, and there is some kind of plants, what they called variegated plants. These variegated plants, which is, as the topic mentioned, that they have different, or their leaves have different or more than one color. So they noticed that people during the lockdown, as they mentioned, the term is how to say it, skyrocketed. The demand was skyrocketed, which is increasingly increased by a very remarkable time. They demand a lot of plants and variegated plants, and they notice people, they really want to change, and they get rid of the traditional idea of just plants that are green and white. Yeah, that's why I read the Constantine, and when I looked up for the word, it means increasing by in shock, not shocking, by increasing in a sudden way. So this is the first one. People got demand in a high level the plants. Second was talking about how it's important to put the plants in front of a dark wall. So the dark walls giving the plants, or let's say, as they said, make them stand out, which means showing by detailed way, and to be more clear. Okay, and the third one, I think, yes, I'm sure, not right now, is what called sorry, let me see, terrariums. Terrariums, it's such a contain or object that contain plants inside it. So this is the 3 tips that I have read from the topic, and I can remember. So I wish I can have more time to read about the other 5 tips, but I couldn't. So that's why I can remember from the topic. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. And that's good. Hopefully, Constantine and Don remember some of the other ones as well. And yep, you're correct with skyrocketed. It's talking about a really fast or a really big increase in something. Think about, the way that a rocket takes off into the sky. It kind of goes almost directly upward, right? So it's that same kind of idea, but talking about numbers or the amount of something. Okay, let's see. Does anyone know what the other tips or the other suggestions they made were? The other ways that plants can be used? No? You can see Constantine is writing something. Constantine, we had 8 tips. Part of the title of the article is 8 ways. We only talked about 3. Does anyone else remember what the other ones were? Maybe nobody had a chance to read a little bit more. Constantine?
Thank you so much. Yes, and I remember maybe it also not only about the tips, because just marketing step to involve you into this process, but I'm not sure we have to pay attention for something visual thing. Excuse me, I'm not ready to explain it for now, but as we say about topic, it is about trend is some aesthetic for interiors and organize of process. So it's very familiar to my job. I know a lot about such kind of technologies and green walls and about the buildings that full of greenery and you grow your vegetable on your micro scale. Also Victorian hot houses and hot houses as maybe a building. It is also very important. And also I want to add some countries that develop growing of some plants and greenery in general, so they are first maybe in avant-garde of our progress. So they about future and about some special model of economics and it is always about what I want to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess it was kind of talking about 8 different trends, and maybe there is a little bit of overlap between the different trends here, but I think it's still interesting to talk about the different ones to kind of see the differences between them and think about the ones that maybe you've done or you haven't done, and which one you think would kind of maybe work in your house or maybe wouldn't work in your house as well. Because obviously when we talk about design, we're talking about, it can be very different for every person. It's very personal. Yusuf?
Yeah, I just want to add something and questioning another thing. So the thing that I want to add is they mentioned I had a short time to read more. They mentioned the importance of the lighting and as a good step or as a good idea to make your plants more more appealing and more uh, good for looking. And the question is uh, for you, Natasha, is about the word plant influencers. Yeah, I read and I understood that the word means or referring to experts. They know a lot or had knowledge about plants. But my question is this a new term? Is this a new vocabulary that got affected by, you know, by the social media or whatever the criteria or whatever the parameter we have today? Thank you.
Yes, you're right. This is kind of a new word. And we can kind of work out what it means by looking at which other words we formed it from. Remember, we read that article not so long ago that was talking about one of the biggest ways to make new words is to take two words that already exist and combine them together. Okay, so which two words do you think are being combined here? The word was plantfluenza, right? I can't remember exactly how they wrote it. Exactly. Influence or influencer. Yeah, influencer, talking about the person, and plant. So when we talk about an influencer, this is a pretty common word that we use nowadays to talk about somebody on social media who kind of shares things about their life, shares something that they're interested in to try to influence other people. So here they've kind of combined two words to make it very clear that these influences only kind of are based on about plants. It's not a general lifestyle influencer. We're not talking about a. Actually, there are some other terms that I've seen used like this as well. For example, fitfluencer is another one that I've seen. So you can probably guess this is somebody who's usually influences people related to like exercise and diet and healthy lifestyle. There aren't very many words like this. I would probably say that maybe fitfluencer is probably the biggest one. I think it's the one that I've seen. Hi, Jamal. But obviously we could do this with most words or most different kinds of influences. So we could talk about like a carfluencer, somebody who tries to influence people related to cars, or I don't know what else. Maybe a bookfluencer, somebody who's influencing people about books. So it is kind of a new word, but you probably won't find it in a dictionary. I think you probably would be, it would be difficult to find it in a dictionary. So we just have to use this idea or remember this idea that sometimes we can create these new words by putting other words together and just work out the meaning that way. Does that answer your question, Yusuf? Go ahead.
Yes, it did. Thank you. Appreciate this. But so I have an additional question, which is, do these people, would, for example, let's say plant influencer, are they people like they are expert, like they have long experience, or they are just they call it this by this name because they came out from social media and started to advising people, for example, and uh, influencing people? So I hope you got you got the idea, like you got what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Yes, I do. And I'm going to ask everybody else this question. I want to know what everybody thinks. So, what do you guys all think? To be a plant influencer, do you think you need to be kind of an expert or a professional related to plants? Or do you think people use this name just because they became famous for this on social media? They kind of became famous, or they became well known for talking about plants on social media. What do you guys think? Yusuf.
I will answer myself.
Everybody's very quiet. Nobody
I will
wants to
answer
answer.
Okay, so for me, I will go for there are people who they got famous uh, based on social media or because of social media, and they started to influence people. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess this is the suitable based on the name or the term itself. Uh, so why the reason why I'm saying this, it's for sure this is a new word for me, and I have never heard before that someone who work in this industry or in plants, selling plants, or even someone who is interested in buying plants. I'm not one of them, but I had the chance to be surrounded by people who they have some interest. They are interested in this field. I have never heard that word from them. So I believe this is a new term. Probably, I can be wrong. Probably it just came with the new this a new era where the social media are all over the world. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusuf, and I would agree with you. This whole idea of influencers in general really only started with social media, because this was the way that people had this opportunity to maybe share things and influence a large number of other people at the same time. We can influence people every day. You probably influence the people around you, your family, your friends. You influence them in, what they eat, what they do, their kind of activities, probably even what they wear, lots of different little things. But we use this term more now to talk about influencing in social media. And I think it's probably a mix. So maybe some of them are actually professionals in the field. So maybe they started off as, a horticulturist or something like this, or they worked in this field already and then they kind of started this social media account to share it with other people. And maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they started just a personal social media account and then they started sharing, tips about plants or, information about their plants, and people were really interested in it. So it became the focus. So I think it can probably be both. I don't think you necessarily need to be an expert, but you could be an expert. Okay. Well, why don't we have a look at some of the different trends that they're talking about here? And I want you all to let me know what you think about this, whether this is a kind of trend or an idea that you like, or maybe don't like, and whether you have or would use it, okay? So the first one was talking about colourful plants. So what do you think? If you have plants, do you prefer them just to be kind of green? Or do you prefer to have, or do you like to have like these more colourful ones where the leaves maybe are coloured? So not necessarily flowers, but the plants themselves are kind of different colours. What do you think of this trend? Jamal?
Thank you, Natasha. For me, according to me, I think I would prefer green plants because it remembers me of nature, For flowers, I can accept other colors, but for plants in general, it will be the green color to remember the culture and to feel as in future. That's the goal for me. That's my idea. Thank you.
Okay, great. So for you, plants are green and you would prefer to go with the traditional green plants. Okay, what about everybody else? Would you prefer just to have like the plain green plants, or would you like to have some of these ones with like the multicolored leaves? Hang on, I'll see if I can share the picture here with everybody to remind everybody of what the ones that they were talking about look like. So what do you think about this? In the picture we can see, you know, there's some that are kind of like a purpley color, there's some that are maybe like a little bit of stripes, a little bit of white things. What do you all think about this? You like it, Constantine? So let's see with the votes. So far we've got 1 for, 1 against. Dom, Youssef, which way are you guys voting? Would you prefer just kind of like plain green plants or these more multicolored ones? I say multicolored, but we're not talking about like pink and purple. Well, we do have purple actually, but we're not talking about really crazy colors here, I guess. Jamal?
For me, I would, as I said, I would prefer because plants like this will be difficult for me to match and to know which plant is dead because I don't. I'm not an expert. However, for a green plant, it will be easy to distinguish between are alive and those who are dead. I think. Thank
Okay, yeah, that's always a bonus. If the difference is between having a green plant that's alive or a multicolored plant that's alive and a brown dead one, you definitely want to have the green or the colored one. Okay, any other thoughts about this type? I saw there was some typing here, but looks like it disappeared. Okay, well, maybe we can have a look at the next trend then, the next idea that they talk about. Okay, so the second trend here was that dark walls. Hang on, I'll put the tip here as well to make it a little bit easier. Dark walls make plants stand out. Okay, what do you think about this? Maybe think actually about the walls that you have in your house. Do you have any dark walls? Because dark walls aren't so common, right? What do you think about this? Do you like having dark walls in the house? Would you combine them with plants? Is this something that you like the look of? Yusuf?
Thank you. Maybe from an expert perspective, he would like to do, or let's say to make his wall dark in order to, as the topic mentioned, in order for the plants to stand out, as they mentioned. But it's weird, for at least for me, it's weird thing for people to make their wall dark. Well, at least it's not common. So so this is is the thing. But from their perspective, yes, I only have to only have to respect their opinion because they are experts, and as they shown, it's obviously the color and the form of the different plants going to be shown, but it's not common. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, remember that we're talking about like design choices and design options here, so you're allowed to disagree, even if they are experts. A lot of things about design are about your personal taste and what you're kind of comfortable with. So you can disagree with the experts in this case. It's okay. So it sounds like then what you're saying, Youssef, is that, yeah, you agree that it kind of looks okay, but you probably wouldn't have dark walls in your house anyway. So this wouldn't be something that you would personally do because it's the idea of dark walls maybe isn't so common, isn't something that you like so much. It sounds like most other people have the same idea, right? Would anybody do this in their house? Would anybody have maybe these dark walls with the plants? Constantine?
Thank you. Yes, and as for me personally, I adore darkness and the shade of and how the colors change with darkness. So it's about maybe impact of light and for sun rays to object, and it is very interesting. So in general, I adore home plants and hot houses, and also I would like to maybe share with our participants the grow room and grow box. This is kind of your personal um, um, personal place to grow vegetables and fruits for your own, but not buy in the supermarket, but have it in your apartment. So it is also about opportunity, how plants help us to change the problem of um, greenhouses and in general about consumption. Thank you.
Okay, so let's maybe change the question a little bit then, change direction a little bit. Maybe I should ask first, how many people have plants at home? Maybe this is a good question to start with. How many of you have plants inside your house? I can currently say that even though I really like them, I think I currently only have one cactus because I have two destructive cats who think that every plant is for them to eat. So it's not safe for me to have plants. Youssef?
Okay, so for me, I don't have any, but I can if I have to if I have to talk, for example, about my relatives. For example, my mom in her house, she has probably two or three plants, but she is not having them for decorating purposes. She had some kind of I would say this of plant that is for medical purposes. Like it's nature, like it's natural. It's not like just for decorating goals and purposes, but it's nature. And yes, she kind of sometimes she put them like she trying to make them in good places, but yeah, medical. Yeah, I think yeah, not herbs, but I lost the word to be honest. Yeah, I was trying to find in translation, but it's I think it's a very tiring processing, and you guys you are waiting, so I'm not going to waste your time. So I'll let it in plans. So the purpose is medical, let's say medical herbs. She has like three, and whenever they lost of the leaves, she trying to bring another one, a new one. So this is for me, or let's say this is for the people I know. But for me, no, I don't have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is an interesting part of it as well, right? Because sometimes there's more than one reason to have plants in your house. So, of course, it might be about decorating, like the article was talking about, but it could be for other things as well. Like you were saying, Youssef, it could be for medicinal purposes, to kind of make some like home remedies, or to take advantage of some of the medical properties of some different types of plants. And there's probably other reasons as well, but I'm not going to suggest any because I want you guys to tell me. Because I'm talking a lot today, and it's not supposed to be me talking today. So now we've got two questions. One, do you have plants at home? And the second question is, what other reasons might people have plants at home? So tell me, do you have plants? That's an easy question. Everybody can answer that one. Jamal, you don't have any plants either, like Youssef. Is there a specific reason for it, or? The difficult part is the why. Can you tell me the why? Okay, Youssef, back to you.
It's okay. I will let Jamal because he didn't speak. My opinion, just I found the room silent. I want to say something. I wanted to add something, but it's okay. I'll let Jamal. Go ahead, Jamal.
Thank you, Yusuf. Yes, Natasha, it is also an easy question for me because I travel a lot. I can't have pets and plants because plants if I make plants in my home, I should take care of them. And as I travel a lot, it will. This is for the reason. Plants. Thanks. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you?
Now
Hello?
we can hear you again. Yes. We could hear the start and the finish. But in the middle was a little bit robot-y. It was a little bit of robot noises.
Can you hear me now, Natasha?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. The reason that I have said that it is also an easy question because I travel a lot. I can't have pets and plants. To have plants, I should take care of them, and there are many things to respect. And as I travel a lot, it will be difficult for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good reason not to have them, actually. If you know that you won't be able to take care of them for both pets and plants, it's a little bit hard to, yeah, it doesn't really make much sense to have them, right? Because you would probably spend more time replacing the plants than you would actually enjoying them, and there's no real point in doing it. And pets, it would just be very unfair. So I don't even need to explain that one, I think. But definitely, I think with plants, they do require a little bit of care and a little bit of TLC. You have to take care of them. Yes, Dom, that would be my neighbor's dog. So I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. Hopefully it's not too loud. See, this is why you guys need to talk more, so that you don't get annoyed by the dog next door. Okay, so what other... Oh, Yusuf, go ahead.
Okay, I'll save you from the dog barking. Okay, anyway, I want to say having a plant, it could be, cultural thing, if I can say this. I'll talk about my society. A lot of people, they don't have this mindset and culture of getting or having or taking care of plants. So I believe it's depend on the person. So probably this is why here in my country it's not common for people to get and taking care of plants and buy. Even you cannot find a lot of shops that interesting in this. Like there is no plant shop of in outside, like very rare shops. And even if you found them, you find them very small. People they are not interested in. So I believe it's a kind of a culture, and it depends on the culture you're living in. I believe that other countries, they have people, they do care about this more than we do here. So one of the reason people they are not having this plan is because they don't care. Thank you.
That's another pretty interesting reason as well, actually. I hadn't thought so much about the cultural side of this. Okay, now I'd like to hear from other people as well. Do you think that your country has a culture of having plants, or maybe having plants indoors or outdoors, I guess, as well, maybe having outdoor gardens? Is it common for people to have plants inside or outside their house, or is it not so common? Constantine.
Yes, thank you so much. And I would like to add the plants they are living. It is probably most fertilized soil in the world, and I believe it, and I see it when it is literally you some sticks from the excuse me, I'm eating snakes, so maybe it my pronunciation even worse. So even sticks you have, you can to put into the ground, and after that it will be grow and will be much better. So it is that maybe universe made a gift for us is very fertilized soil. So it's you maybe can't imagine how it is popular here. So it just looks like a normal. You have to have a lot of plants in your home, and it's a normal living. So it's not about some special. If you're keen on something special, so it's widely spread here. So, if about the topic in general, I just want to add, we just only on the start to understanding, and the new research say us the plants and mushrooms have to communicate with each other. So maybe we have to prepare us to next level to understand the plants around us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this could be another big reason that influences this as well, right? The kind of natural environment around you. If you live in a place that has very good soil, that makes it very easy for plants to grow, probably more likely that you'll have them inside as well, because they're probably easier to find, easier to grow, easier to take care of, depending on the weather and the environment. If you live in a place where maybe the soil isn't so great, where things don't grow naturally very easily, okay, it would be maybe a little bit stranger to have indoor plants, because it maybe requires a lot more work and a lot more equipment and a lot more energy to kind of take care of these types of plants. So that could be another reason as well, I guess, that people decide to have or not to have kinds of plants. Looking at some of the other trends that they talked about here, like the terrarium, what else? The different kinds of, actually, let's talk about this one a little bit more, the idea of like a living wall. Can everybody imagine what I'm talking about when I talk about a living wall? Does this idea... No? Let's see if we can find... Yeah, Konstantin, do you think you can explain it for everyone? Go ahead.
And please excuse me, I continue to eat not the snakes. How do it pronounce it properly? Excuse me, but
no problem. It would be snacks. So it's an ack at
snacks.
the end.
Yeah.
Snacks. Yeah, much better than snakes. Please don't eat snakes.
Thank you. But snakes also very tasteful, I thought. So, excuse me, I'm so worried. What's the question?
The question was
I
what a
lost.
living wall is.
Oh yes, it's like a wall contains all the plants, and it's some maybe minimal ecosystem. It's a model of ecosystems, and the different place living on your real wall in your maybe any room of you want, and so. It is about plants produced and oxygen and purify air, and so it's maybe I can call it a portable garden. So it's garden you have to you able to have in any place you want, in place where you live. So it's about maybe some trends of interior, but I have to say also it is about maybe not it maybe and excuse me, please, a little bit outdated. So we step much deeper in it. So it's about all you around, all wall and all wall, indoor and outdoor, and it's it may be a phenomenon that call of biophilia. So just Google it and you understand me. So yeah, I just my place from architectural vision of such kind of um, event, and in general it is maybe inevitable for us because this is future to be in live in peace with uh, uh, plants and also use their energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a kind of trend. What they were talking about in the article was more about inside your house, but this has also been done on the outside of buildings as well in the past. So sometimes you can see a building where it looks like one of the walls is completely covered in plants. They've got either individual planters or a kind of plants that grow over the walls to try to add a little bit of greenery, to add a little bit more nature, especially if it's in the middle of a city. But it's also used to do things like cool down the side of the building as well. So it does actually have some effect on the building itself. These ones here, though, you can see in the two pictures that I posted, you can see it's kind of like the plants have almost been planted, down the wall. So vertical garden is another word we use as well to describe these. So it kind of, you can see it kind of creates this wall that's alive in a way because it's completely covered in plants. So what does everybody think about this idea? Do you think it could be useful in some way, or do you think this would be maybe too much work? Because I like how it looks, but I look at this and think, wow, that would be a lot of work to take care of. What does everyone else think? You said.
If I am a person who is interested in plant and this field in general, I would never do this because plants and all this green world has specific environment that I think it's suitable for. Just to putting inside a home and trying to find a closed environment, I believe it's not suitable and it's not going to match the nature of the perspective of plants. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, so for you, you would prefer plants to kind of be outside in nature rather than kind of trapped indoors. You kind of like free the plants. It's an interesting perspective on it, actually. I hadn't thought about it that way. What does everyone else think? Constantine?
Excuse me, but also I want to. I think it maybe depends on the place where you live in. So it's some special natural phenomenon. So in vertical surfaces, they historically was able to grow in different type of plants, and maybe it is not a unnatural way to grow for plants in the high in the up direction, and it's not matter maybe the only the walls help them. So about the trend is not only nowadays, but we live with plants for thousands years. So we have special relation with them, and it is just a source of energy. Firstly, for us, it's plants, and also we have to save our ecosystem. Thank you. Unexpectedly final, yes, excuse me.
Yeah, that was a very big statement right at the end there. Okay. I'm not sure what other question to ask you all about this. It seems like people today aren't so big of a fan of having plants or having plants indoors. Actually, maybe this is one last question that we could talk about. Oh, Konstantin, you wanted to add something else?
I just would like to ask you, why you have just a few cactuses like a plane? So maybe, excuse me, it is hard to explain, but why only few vegetables in your personal home? Thank you.
Okay, well, I don't have any vegetables growing in my house, although maybe that would be a good idea. I wouldn't mind to have vegetables. I only have one cactus because I have two cats. And whenever I've tried to have plants before, my cats get very, very interested in my plants. So interested that they either eat the leaves or they pull the leaves off the plants. And so after 2 or 3 days, my poor plant has no leaves anymore. so my poor plants, they don't have a very long life in my house. So I would still like to have them, and I still try to have them sometimes. But of course, I also need to be careful because of the cats as well. Because a lot of popular home plants, indoor plants, are actually poisonous for animals. So it's something else you have to be a little bit careful with to make sure that, okay, even if you can put it somewhere that they can't reach it so that they can't eat it, if like a leaf falls off or they somehow manage to get to the plant and take a bite, that it's not going to be dangerous for animals as well. So that's another reason. Sometimes I try and then I just give up because it gets too difficult. But they're not orange cats, no. No Garfields here. So this is the reason. The cactus that I have, it's because I managed to keep it alive and I can put it in a place where the cats can't get it and they're not so interested in it. They seem to understand that it won't be so tasty, that it's not a good idea to eat that one. So that's why I have that one at the moment. It's the only thing I can manage to keep alive and safe for everyone. So hopefully that answers all your questions about it. But I would like to have more plants. I like having plants. I think they kind of help to make the house calmer or to have more contact with nature. So I like plants. But I've just had a lot of difficulties trying to figure out how to have plants and cats at the same time. They don't combine very well, at least not with mine. Okay. Exactly. I have to choose, or at the moment that means it's the cats. Would I follow the topics tips? Maybe some of them. For example, maybe for me the terrarium would be a good idea, because if it was in a terrarium, they would be kind of protected from the cats, and maybe I'd have a better idea, a better chance of keeping them alive and keeping everybody safe. And I also like the kind of the colorful plants that they talked about in the first picture as well. So I like some of the ideas. If I could figure out how to have cats and plants at the same time with no problems, I would probably use some of these tips. Yusuf, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say it's a kind of weird and awkward this session, because we are supposed to answering question in order to learn, but this session Natasha is answering question and we are asking questions. So I feel you, Natasha. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Yes, I feel like I got to have the practice today instead of you guys. It's the wrong way around. It's supposed to be you all talking, and I'm just supposed to be listening and helping. Well, maybe it's because of the topic as well. But I think this way, at least you're all getting good practice at creating questions. So you just got a different type of practice today. Not so much speaking practice, but question practice. So we'll think about it that way. I don't have the kind of plant that has teeth. No, the kind of like the what do they call it? The fly trap, fly catcher, fly. This one here. I don't have this one here. But it's a pretty cool type of plant as well, actually. Okay. Well, we might have to stop here for today, but before we finish, did anyone want to add anything else? Any last thoughts or comments before we finish? Okay. Well, thank you all very much. I hope you enjoyed the session. And next time I want to hear more talking. Less listening and more talking from everyone. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.